In Islam, it is Allah. Abraham Hicks refers to it as source. And in Buddhism, it can be referred to as transcendent being. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest refers to this thing itself in at least 150 different names. And these include creative intelligence, God, first cause, spirit, mind, greater consciousness, intuition, and we'll stop there because we'll be here all day. I suppose that having a single name for this thing itself can help to create a commonality in which everybody knows what's being talked about. But then so does a banana. Okay, bad joke. So what is this thing itself? Well, intuitively, we know that there is something that represents more. If we close our eyes and allow that rampant noise of our surrounding to fall away, this thing becomes familiar. It flows into and out of us naturally, bringing with it a stillness and a sense of oneness with all that surrounds us. And all we have to do is close our eyes and quiet ourselves. It allows us to understand that there is a power and a presence, and not only is it available to us, but that we are part of it. There are many ways to define this thing itself. And these definitions, ultimately, if we allow it, and as we study this philosophy, become very personal to each and every one of us. And perhaps that's why there are so many names for it. Because we each have our own personal relationship with this thing itself. Science tells us that everything in the universe, and I mean everything, is made of energy. It is the same energy, regardless of its shape or composition. The only difference is the vibration at which it moves. This includes our physical bodies, the air that you feel on your body when on a windy day, the synapses of the brain when a thought is created. It is all interconnected energy. What holds it all together and allows it to manifest into what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is a very simple yet powerful idea. Ernest says it quite clearly in the beginning of his second chapter, which we'll go into next week, but I'll give you a little taste now. Page 35 of the textbook. There is a universal mind, spirit, intelligence that is the origin of everything. It is first cause. It is God. This universal life and energy finds an outlet in and through all that is energized and through everything that lives. There is one spirit back of all expression, and that is the meaning of that mystical saying, in Him we live and move and have our being, as you can find in Acts 17:28. In other words, there's one universal presence, intelligence, mind, fill in the blank, that is all things, and all things are expressions of that one presence. Does that mean that I am an expression of that one presence? Well, yeah. Does it mean that each of you are expressions of that one presence? Well, yeah. Every person on the street, every rock, every tree, every particle of energy that exists, whether in physical form or not, is an expression of that one presence. So what does it mean to be an expression of that one presence? That thing itself. Yahweh. Full, beautiful juju. Some years ago, I came to understand an experience. It was a feeling, and go with me here. Just kind of go within and listen and see if you can come with me. It was a feeling of emptiness. Not like when I was alone in the wilderness and feeling really poo-poo because I didn't have someone special in my life. It was more of a vast expanse of blank. No light, no darkness, nothing. And then in an instant, there was everything. There was power, there was realization, a knowing, if you will. And with this first thought, I am. It all came to being. And it was from this thought that everything, including love, curiosity, creativity, all came to me. And with this came a desire to extend myself into as many areas of expression as creative thought will allow. All that was needed was a desire and a thought and an understanding that as it was spoken, so would there be. And through this state of being, there would be a connection, a part of me, an extension of me bringing forth more desires, more expressions of life in which I can and do share. You get that? Out of nothingness comes your realization. You are. And you are connected. You are not just connected with yourself, but you are connected with a greater consciousness that is all things, that it expresses itself in, as, and through everything that exists, including you. What a glorious thing to know. So being an expression of that one presence means you're connected. You're connected now, always have been, and always will be. It's like a drop of water in the ocean. You're an individual drop, whole, perfect, and complete, just the way you are, but you're also part of that infinite body of water. You're connected. You share the tide, you share the storms and the evaporation process, but you always came from and always will return to that whole. It's the same thing with the greater consciousness. You are connected. You always have been. You always will be. Regardless of what you do or don't do, you will always come back to that whole. As an expression of the one presence, you are both part of it, and yet you have your own thoughts, feelings, likes, dislikes, and desires. So what you say, do, and think matters. Not only for your own life and direction, but for the benefit of the whole. Everything that you do adds to that greater consciousness, to that thing itself, that ethereal, nameless, yet real essence from which we are all created. There is never going to be a time when you do not coexist with that one presence. What there is, however, and this is where I think there may have been what have been mistaken as the basis for duality. And you know what duality is, right? It's a separation, a feeling of separation and being apart from that. It is the difference in the use of what Ernest Holmes labels the objective or conscious mind and the subjective or unconscious mind. We all have conscious thoughts. Those are the ones that we use in conversations, in our writings, in our wishes and prayers. It's what we think consciously. We also have unconscious thoughts. The ones that have formed over time, the ones that cause us to form opinions of ourselves, and that help or prevent us from moving forward with what we think we want in this physical expression. Both are very powerful in the creation of our experiences. Both also interact with each other in forming the basis for how our experiences came to being. The difference is how they operate. I like to call the subject or unconscious thoughts the but-for thoughts. But for how I have developed my unconscious thoughts about myself, life would be really moving forward with the flow of my good. But for that idiot that cut me off on the freeway, I'd be moving a lot faster now. But for all of these questions that I have about my own abilities, I would be a much more confident person. There's things that we've developed over the years. I call it but for, as you can tell. But that's why it's so important to think critically. Now, I don't mean critically in the way of, that was a really lame thing that I just said. When am I ever going to learn that? No, critically meaning being aware of what I'm saying and what I'm thinking, and of what is going on inside myself, so that I can keep those negative race-conscious thoughts from taking over and creating those but-for instances or events. Have you ever heard the story in the Bible found in Matthew? I know you have. 29:28. After Jesus had entered the house, the blind men came to him. Do you believe that I am able to do this? He asked. Yes, Lord, they answered. Then he touched their eyes and said, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. And they opened their eyes. Ernest paraphrases this story throughout his writings in the following saying, it is done unto you as you believe. How many of us have not heard that? Okay, that's what I thought. This is because the thing itself of which you are part, to which you are connected, and which experiences life in, as, and through you, has created law. It is a powerful, unrestricted, and unbiased law based solely on the premise that it is done unto you as you believe. It's a neutral law. It doesn't judge your desires or it just grants them. It doesn't poke at you and say, hey, George, might want to think that one over again. No, it just says yes. It's kind of like the genie in the magic lamp. You rub it, you make a wish, done. Doesn't matter what the wish was. But there's always a pushback. Whatever your wish is always comes with a natural consequence. And it's you that determines what that is by your thoughts. Have you ever had a day when you woke up in a really crappy mood? How'd that day go for you? Every time you turned around, did everything go the way you wanted it to? Was traffic crappy or good? Probably crappy. Were there grumpy people interrupting you all day? It just seemed like it was impossible to get anything done. Mindset. Have you ever had a day when you woke up with a smile and knowing that everything was going to be perfect, just absolutely perfect that day? And did that day go well? Think about it. There's a difference between the two. You know? It's what you put out there that determines what manifests. Because that law just says yes. It doesn't discriminate based on age, sex, creed, color, religion, anything else. It just says, you got it. And if it's not something that you really wanted, you got it. And if you decide you didn't like that, well, you know what? You didn't like that, you got it. So it's all thinking about realizing what you're thinking and putting out something that you really, really are interested in having manifest in your life. Because it just says yes. So how many people here have ever thought, driving through the park, this is the usual easy one, driving through the parking lot, this perfect spot is just going to manifest in front of me, and I'm just going to be right in front of this door, and it just opens up. There it is, boom. How many of you have gone to the mall during the holiday season and said, oh Christ, I'm never going to find a place to park. I'm going to have to walk 3 miles and take a bus. And you never find one, right? Or you find one and it's way out in the boonies somewhere. It's all what you put into it, my friends. All what you put into it. There's a difference in your mindset. It's not just coincidence. Think about it. Think about all of those different experiences that you've had on all those different days. So the truth about this teaching and the truth of how this universe, this one powerfully creative presence works, is that it is according to your belief. It works because you're connected. And being connected, you are powerful. Anybody ever watch a movie called The Replacements? It's wonderfully, hugely funny. It's a movie about the NFL goes on strike and they bring in replacement players. And the strike's about to end, and the coach is talking to his team, and he's going, you know, that other team that they already walked across, but your team hasn't yet, they're making a mistake. They don't understand that you don't have tomorrow anymore. This is your last day. And that makes you very powerful people. And just, because that's what their mindset was. And they went on to win the game, of course. You know, it's a movie. But it's also something that fans out true in life. You are very powerful people. You just have to understand the connection that you have to that greater consciousness and how to use it. And know that this thing itself refers to more than just some ethereal being out there. It refers to you. You are creations of that one presence. You are part of that one presence. What you say matters. What you think matters. What you want out of this experience matters. Otherwise, the law wouldn't just say yes. It would say, try next week. You're powerful people. You're powerful beings. You're eternal, and you are part of that greater consciousness. Allow that to sink in, people, and live it. Thomas Trord, another long sentence writer, for those of you who haven't read him, wrote in his Edinburgh lecture, and I'm paraphrasing, divine intelligence is the essence of all things. The more we become self-realized in this concept, the more ability we have to control it. Critical thinking, knowing what you're thinking, knowing what you're putting out there. For this intelligence, which permeates all things, responds to individual intelligence when appealed to by those who are aware of it, manifesting those things of our conscious beliefs from the primordial substance of that which is all things. Long sentence. So essentially, you've got this energy. It's the primordial ooze of all things. And it responds to what you put out there. And the more you believe in it, the more you know it, the more emphatically you are into it, the more likely it is and the quicker it is to come to you. So let's summarize a little bit, because that was a lot. There is a power and a presence in the universe available to us. It is available because it is connected. It is connected in that you are created of this power and presence, which experiences this life in, as, and through you, and yet recognizes that you are perfect, whole, and complete, just as the unique individual that you are. That includes all of your so-called defects, baggage, shortcomings, because really there are none. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way you are. In fact, why don't you repeat this? And then remember, the more emphatic and the more you believe, the more true it is. I am perfect, whole, and complete, just the way I am. One more time. I am perfect, whole, and complete, just the way I am. One more time, with power. I am perfect, whole, and complete, just the way I am. How many of you believe that? Okay, half of you. We got halfway there. The rest of you believe it. Go home and meditate on it. What else is there in this universe other than that ethereal greater consciousness of which you have been taken and created? If you follow Abraham, you were source when you came into being, and you were source when you got here. And you're going to be source when you leave. You're connected. If you follow Ernest in all 150 plus definitions of this thing itself, you are all of those and more. There is nothing that you cannot do if you put your mind to it and you put your belief into it. Hold out that palsied arm. There is no palsy. It is perfect, whole, and complete as you are. Out it comes. The great teacher did it right there. Because you're connected, you have the power to create, and your creations begin with a thought. Conscious or unconscious, your thoughts create. That's why I talk about critical thinking, being aware of what you're thinking. Because many people, when they want to start something, they go, I want to do this, but I don't have enough money, I don't have enough education, I don't, but. Well, there's no more excuses, my friends. There's the internet, there's sources, so that but should never exist anymore. And intuitively, you know what to do next anyway. You know the next step. You put your faith in that all-encompassing, all that is, and you allow it to move, to experience in, as, and through you, and you move forward. Your thoughts create. And the more you are aware of your thoughts, the better you are able to steer your life in the direction you want to go. Because this is a universal presence that operates upon a law of mutual acceptance. It doesn't discriminate, it just says yes. It makes you a very powerful person. Paraphrasing Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook. The key to understanding and using this power is a conscious understanding of our relationship to it, our belief in it, and our knowing that it and we have always been and always will be joined as one, individualized, and yet within that common ground of the whole. So I guess what we could say about this thing itself is that it is a combination of the one presence, your connectivity to the one presence, and your knowledge and acceptance and conscious use of the law in the creation of life, expression, physical manifestation, whatever you want to call it on this plane. That's what I'm interpreting as this thing itself. So, it's 10 minutes to 10, still morning. So I'm going to say this. Good morning, this thing itself. It is very good to see you in physical form. Let's pray. Such a beautiful and glorious day of my manifesting. I know that there is only one. There is one presence, one intelligence of which I am part. I share this intelligence with that greater consciousness, and I direct how my life moves forward. I am a very powerful expression of this life. I know it, I see it, I feel it, and I give thanks for this knowing. I no longer allow the feelings of lack to permeate my buts. They become expressions of knowing, of love, and of moving forward in such a manner that there is no way back but. And I allow that but to remain quiet. I allow it to fall away like the raindrops from the sky. To soak into the ground and to no longer be seen, heard, or felt. Because I understand my true being. I understand that I am this thing itself. It expresses through me. It lives through me. It sees through me. And it helps me move forward to all of those wondrous, magnificent ideas that I see manifesting before me. I am so grateful for this day, so grateful for this life, knowing that I created and it creates according to my thoughts and my beliefs. It is a wondrous day because I choose to make it so. I accept this with such gratitude, knowing that it is true. And I acknowledge this. No, I don't acknowledge this. I know this to be true. And I state it to be true by saying, and so it is. Namaste.